Well, well, well. Isn't it the beautiful members of the Goblin YouTube channel, all like 3.5 of you? Um, so you know, I've been around lately. Um, this whole video, I mean, I'm probably just gonna be playing fucking. I'm just gonna be playing fucking Rivals in the back, but I more so just wanted to talk today. More just so wanted to yap. This isn't really a gameplay video. Like, I'm literally in quick play fucking playing Iron Fist. And I promise Iron Fist has nothing to do with this. It's actually kind of funny that I'm playing him. I'm just trying to lord him right now, okay? But what I did want to talk about today is just, like, my general life. What's been going on inside of the Goblin universe. And I think one of the things I want to lead with here is, you know, I left my last job, so at the moment I'm I can't believe I have to say this. I'm in between jobs. I know, right? Only the most intelligent people say that shit. But no. Truly, I'm in between jobs right now. I might be starting one soon at this one company that I'm excited to work at. Not to spoil anything or dox myself, but I'd be working with fire trucks. So I'd get to create fire engines, and to a point, I feel like you know, even though my goal throughout my educational career was always to end up in a place where I can help other people. That's kind of just my goal. I mean, I'm sitting here playing Rivals. Superheroes have unironically meant the world to me. Like, most of my philosophy in life, most of, yeah, as corny as it is to me, most of my philosophy in life and the way I've lived my life up until now, like, other than just reading general philosophy, religious or just general life philosophy has come from comics. Like I said, a little bit of an embarrassing thing to admit, but I've almost internalized a lot of the stuff I've learned from comics and superheroes, and just like the ability to want to help others and finding fulfillment within that. So even though at this job it's not like what I originally wanted to do, which was like maybe work in child protective services and help those who cannot defend themselves, you know. Again, as corny as it might sound. Although, you know, my life isn't at that point, I can almost find a sense of self-pride within the work I could be doing, because even if I'm not directly out there, you know, saving the day, I'm indirectly helping others, which at the end of the day, regardless of how I help others, my goal is the same. I want to make the world a better place for everybody. Again, I know how many people say that and how corny it is, but, you know, not to get into, like, personal shit, but it's just something that's always meaned a lot to me. So, not only my professional life has it been, you know, interesting these last couple months, but within just my interpersonal life, you know, trying to manage different relationships, especially now that I'm an adult, right? Like, I was literally just in high school, basically. And now, like, I'm an adult, I got all these responsibilities, I got all this shit I gotta do. And managing healthy relationships is, honestly, not something that they ever told you in school was gonna be a difficult thing to balance. But, it is. It for sure is. Not only when it comes to romantic relationships, but friendships, my own family, you know, it's been rough. It's been rough. I know it's something everybody struggles with, I feel like, but, you know, it's definitely been a rough couple months when it comes to that kind of stuff. You know, I recently got out of a relationship that was pretty long-term and was getting insanely serious. Like, honestly, more serious than I intended it to get during the beginning of the relationship. But I just found such a bond with this other individual that you know, it just felt right. And since then, you know, my drive to want to make my interpersonal relationships better has been almost just completely gone, along with my drive for a lot of other things. But I would say where this all comes to head, and, you know, if you're not a religious person, you know, this isn't for you, I guess I'd say. But as a kid, I grew up in a very Catholic environment, very Catholic Christian, you know, do as the Bible say, and, you know, I internalized a lot of that, which led me to believing that I was not a good person, right? It had me questioning the light, you know, within myself, which is crazy, because I feel like the genuine teachings of the Bible should make you, you know, find solace within yourself. But, you know, just the way I grew up, that's not the teachings that I was taught. I was taught a very gentrified version of the Catholic faith that honestly has done more detriment to the faith than help. And now in my adult life, you know, I've learned philosophy. I've read almost every religious text. And the one that has always stuck with me, again, ironic because I'm playing Iron Fist right now, is Buddhism. I've always loved the teachings of Buddhism, you know, finding inner peace, and finding inner peace is something that both religiously and, again, interpersonal, I've struggled with, you know. A lot of my life has been, then not to get too personal, it's been a fight with myself, and now in the Buddhist faith, I find solace within myself. I find a willingness to want to do better and be the best me I can be, which is something I struggled with a lot, especially within the Catholic faith, as it just feels so hard to want to love yourself when it feels like your own God doesn't even love you. But I don't know, through learning Buddhism and practicing the Buddhist faith, which, you know, I'm not like a pro at it. You know, I'm still pretty new to it myself, and I'm still learning and figuring out what it means to be Buddhist for me. It's helped. You know, I would say my self-worth with myself has gone up. I no longer feel like I'm this horrible person, you know. Again, I don't want to get too personal, but within the Catholic faith, due to the circumstances of how I was born, I essentially got extradited from the church before I could even fucking speak, bro. Like, I couldn't even talk. I was still shitting in my diapers. But due to the fact that I was a bastard, I was evil. There, you know, as many would say, the devil's in me. You know, there's part of Satan within myself. And that's in no way a human being should have to live within their self. Also, MVP, by the way. Hell yeah. But, yeah. I've had a lot going on. I haven't really been able to upload, and this is kind of like thrown together at 3 AM of me just yapping. But, you know, I feel like it was needed. Oh, I had to insta-lock that real quick. Anyway, I'm trying to think about where else to go from here, you know. Overall, I want to try and upload more. I don't know with this new job how everything's gonna work out, but I'm gonna do my best. Maybe it's not, maybe like content creation, all that. I don't know if it's what I'm passionate about, but I kind of just like getting to sit here and yap, honestly. Yap about life, yap about things. I might, maybe this is just like a 3 AM thought and it will never go to fruition. But on my second channel, which I will link down below, I want to start making more, this is going to sound so corny once again. I want to start making more thought-provoking things. Like I said, I'm really big into philosophy. And although my financial situation doesn't really work with me, and going to school and furthering my education, I've always been, you know, furthering it in my own right with my own studies, especially when it comes to philosophy, sociology, things like that, you know. I wouldn't call myself one of those, you know, self-help gurus on TikTok that's, you know, telling you to buy their fucking course. You know, you don't gotta buy a fucking course to learn this shit, man. You just gotta find, like, I feel like most of it comes with peace within yourself. And I think that's my main goal. And while I'm making strides to get to that point, I'm not there yet. And I'm not going to be there yet for a while. But that's the whole point, you know, it gives me something to, it gives me purpose, you know? Essentially, you know, I've never been a truly spiritual person. I would call myself a non-believer that's spiritual. But, you know, with Buddhism, you don't, you know, while there is, I guess, a belief of a higher power within the Buddha, I find myself more, towards the teachings of, once again, just finding inner peace, which is something that I've strived for, I've fought for within myself for years, but just immense religious guilt and self-hate and exterior factors have definitely made it a rough journey. But, you know, I'm hoping to, you know, maybe document some of my journey. The closest Buddhist temple to me isn't very close. You know, I would say it's like an hour some drive. But at some point, I'd like to go visit and, you know, like bring, you know, I mean, like, I don't want to say vlog it. I don't want to be that fucking guy, but like, get like some video recording of not necessarily me within like prayer or meditation or anything like that, but, you know, just there to calculate my journey, you know? Not only for myself, but I think being open about something like this, especially as somebody who, you know, by all rights shouldn't be Buddhist, dude. I live in fucking America, right? I'm French. I'm French, Italian, right? Like, there's no reason why I should be Buddhist due to my outcome, but just, I think that's the whole point of Buddhism, is that it doesn't matter where you're from, as long as you're finding it within yourself, you know? And again, I think that's something I love about it, especially because while their traditional Catholic teachings, you know, aren't necessarily the most discriminatory to some people, I would say the way that the religion and belief has been gentrified over time has made it like there's an in-group and there's a not in-group. And but then again, everybody's belief, every church's belief is also different. Loki, I'm thinking about that more. You know, I might actually just disagree with it. You know, that I'm saying it out loud. I'm not too sure. Like I said, I'm kind of just rambling in the middle of the night. I'm tired, bro. I'm just playing Iron Fist. But, you know, it just, I wanted to get on here and mostly just talk about what's been going on in my personal life, where I've been, what I'm doing, and what the plans for the future are. Not only within my own life, but through content creation. And like I said, you know, I'd like to start a second channel of some kind where it's not just, you know, me playing games, because I love playing games. Playing games has always been a part of my life. Again, it's one of the things I can find joy in. I like competition, crazy goblin lore. But I was actually an athlete, like a really big competitive athlete, way before this, right? Again, I'm not gonna dox myself, so I'm not gonna say the state or anything, but I did compete within my state championship for wrestling. I was a fighter as well. I played American football. Yeah, I dabbled. I love competition, so that's why I think video games have always been a massive part of my life. You know, it's a way of competition without, you know, like, I can't go out there and, I'm almost 20, right? Like, I can't just go out there and be like, yeah, no, I'm gonna wrestle again. You know, that's not really an option unless I were to, you know, go in school, take all the measure. You know, it's just not, it's not realistically achievable within the point of life. at least anymore, right? Like I made my mistakes and I missed my chances to pursue that in my lifetime, but you know, video games has given me, you know, the competition I still strive for, and something to work towards in that regard. You know, so like the gaming's not going anywhere. Well, I'm gonna be honest here. Gaming's not gonna be going anywhere. You know, I play Rivals or Overwatch, or I mean, I've even been dabbling in some Dead by Daylight again. You know, like almost every day I'm playing some kind of game, even for a little bit. Call it addiction, if you will. But yeah, I just want to get on here and yap, honestly. I don't know what I'm gonna talk about the rest of the video now, because the game's not over yet. But why the fuck did I just ult? What a... Get over here, damn it! Lock in. Dude, Iron Fist is so fucking fun to play. I'm not even gonna lie. There's just something about beating the shit out of people. That's really fun in this game. Even though I'm feeding and have 1 in 10. Oh my god! I'm just shocked. I wasn't expecting to see that. It might be his first time on a Rex. It's okay. Get over here, Wanda. I'm not talking at all. I gotta keep this going. What else do I talk about? We can talk about. I mean, this is a little deeper of a video, but you know, I'll guess. Actually, I can just give a story time about my old job, because I worked at a gas station, right? Like many broke college-age kids. You know, I worked in service before the job I'm going to be going into. So, you know, obviously I have some funny service stories, and I worked at a gas station, so, you know, we really got some characters. You know what, I guess I'll just talk about some bad customers, because I mean, they're not necessarily, I guess they're funny looking back, because it's like, they're kind of just goobers. But, you know, I mean, I can see there's probably some danger in it. I was never too scared of these guys. I mean, they're just your local, your local crackheads, man. Like, there's only so serious you can take them. But within like my last week, I had like 2 bad customers, I'd say. We had one guy who we dubbed the Red Hat guy, and we got this fan installed outside of our store because it's the summer, and my store left the lights on because we were a closing gas station. We weren't 24 hours, so we kept the lights on all night still, because you know the company was still running 24-hour ones. We just so happened to be a location that wasn't. And yeah, we kept the lights on all night, so you know, summer bugs, they flock to the doors, and to make sure they're not there, we installed like this outside fan, and we were told, you know, make sure nobody's fucking with it or anything like that. And we had this one guy, Red Hat guy, you know, a local crackhead. You know, he was one, we already had a problem because he was very obviously smoking something right outside of our store that, you know, it wasn't a cigarette, and it wasn't marijuana. You know, I'm a person who's dabbled in marijuana. You know, it definitely wasn't that. He was smoking something, and I have my ideas of what it was, but I'm not gonna pass any judgment. Because I could be wrong. I could very well be wrong. Maybe I just caught him on a wrong day, and, you know, the signs don't actually point to that. But after I calmly told the guy, I'm like, hey, can you not touch the fan? We're supposed to make sure nobody's messing with it. Immediately, you know, he's getting aggressive. And then near the end, I'm like, I think I said the words, man, it's like, it's common sense. Just like, don't touch our property. Poor choice of words. Like, I'm looking back, I probably could have been a little... even still a little nicer about it, even though I technically had no reason to be that nice about it. I still, you know, within how I want to treat other people, I could have been a little nicer, but I didn't say anything like outrageously bad still, especially considering the guy afterwards, because again, another little more, I don't have a car at the moment, so I'm a big walker, you know, I walk everywhere. Where I live doesn't have the greatest public transportation, so, you know, I get by on my feet. It keeps me in shape. Can't complain too much. But yeah, he said that on my way walking home, he was gonna kill me. I was like, whoa. All excited, I told you not to touch a fan, man. That's a little insane. But yeah, I mean, I think I can end it on that little story time. But yeah, I just want to get on here and talk about, you know, what's going on in my life, why I haven't been uploading, and mainly what the future holds for not only my channel, but you know, just an excuse to say what my future's holding as a human being, you know, and within my own life. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that's it. I think that's all I really wanted to get out there. You know, I can end this off by saying, you know, if any of you are in a point of turmoil within yourself, work on it, you know, and don't find out of, sorry, I got level 5 Iron Fist Peak. Don't look for answers within others. Look for it within yourself. I think that's the best advice I can give, because truly the only way to, at least in my mind, I see it as enlightenment, but the only way to your truest self is to understand yourself, and you can't do that by paying attention to these means outside of not only your control, but outside of you personally, you know? Yeah, and like I said, I'll probably link a second channel. There probably won't be anything on it, but, you know, I think it just gives it's gonna give me a chance to, you know, maybe do something else other than gaming. Something, you know, where I get to talk about stuff, maybe talk about philosophy, or just a topic that interests me, that I think, I have some words that, you know, I'd like to speak on it. Now, obviously, I don't want you to take my word as law, right? I'm a 19-year-old chud at the end of a computer screen, right? Like, I'm a high school graduate. I haven't gone to any extra school other than that. So, like, take my word with a grain of salt. But, you know, I do like to keep. I do like to keep an educated mind and things like that, so I'd at least like, you know, to throw my hat in the ring. If you agree with me, you agree with me. If you don't, you know, I hope we can, you know, maybe find some common ground within my words, and in the comments, you know, you can give me your own point of view that can maybe change my outlook on something, because I'm always open to a different outlook, right? That's always something that I've been willing to have and willing to learn, such as, you know, even before my transition to the Buddhist faith, you know, I was reading other religious texts, many different religious texts. I've read the Quran, the Torah. I've looked at fucking witchcraft. Now, obviously, I'm gonna be honest, it's not like, you know, I'm not talking about like Scooby-Doo witchcraft, but like more of a spiritual sense, and I would say Buddhism is the one that I just felt the most entwined with myself being. But yeah, I mean, that's all I really wanted to say. Sorry, it's kind of a yap fest and it's taking a while, but this is just important to me to talk about. I hope the rest of you have a great night or day, or whatever time of day it is for you, wherever you are. And yeah, I hope you look forward to what I got in the future. And yeah. I love you all, and have a great one.